Hi folks, it's Switchback. This video is about choosing and using your trekking poles. Why should you use trekking poles? Well, they work like an extension of your arms. So they give you more stability, they give you more support, they help support your knees over the short term and the long term, especially when you're going downhill. They give you more power, especially when you're going uphill, and they give you braking ability on your downhills. It makes for a more efficient movement, which means that you can go longer. It also helps distribute the weight and the work through your whole body. There are several types of poles out on the market. So a few things to look for are whether or not it's adjustable. And so there are ones that telescope like this one does. This has flip locks and they collapse down like so, and then you can measure to make it however long you need it to be. Telescoping poles can be adjusted for different lengths. So that means that you can make it a different height for incline versus a decline versus a flat. It also makes it nice and stowable. The ones that are fixed in length are difficult to stow. There are also folding trekking poles, but you can't adjust the length on those either, but they are stowable. There are also different materials. Some people prefer aluminum, mine are aluminum, and part of the reason I chose aluminum is because I am a bigger girl. I wanted the extra stability, and if aluminum bends, it will bend, whereas carbon will break. So carbon will be lighter weight than aluminum, but if it bends, it will be brittle, and so it will break. For telescoping poles that you can adjust in length, there are a couple of different types of adjustments that you can use. And so this particular one has a flip cap adjustment. Flip lock adjustments are much easier to work with. You can also tighten up how tight that screw is, which makes it really loose when you do this, and then much more likely for the pole to collapse, or you can cinch it down and make it really secure. So this allows you to adjust that. This is also all replaceable. So if the screw falls out, you can order a new one. There's also a twist adjustment. And so these have measurements here, and then you would tighten it down when you get it to the length that you want. This is a twist lock here. You can kind of hear the springs in there, but to tighten it, you're gonna tighten, and you wanna hold on to the black here so that it really secures down. And this one has a spring for some shock absorbency, but this can also slip more easily than the flip lock will. In my experience, the twist locks can easily get dirt in them and the springs can break. There can be a lot of ways to damage these, and they can also be a little bit harder to work sometimes. You'll want to consider the handles. So these ones have cork handles. Cork handles will form more to your hands. They'll absorb sweat better, which can reduce your risk of chafing and blisters. Versus something with a rubber handle. So this has got a good grip on it, but it's gonna chafe and blister more likely over, if you're hiking out for 6 hours, 8 hours, this is a little bit more likely to bother your hand. Poles will usually have metal tips. These metal tips are great for on dirt, on snow, on ice. They work really well on dirt trails. However, they can also damage those trails better. So I prefer to use a rubber cap on it instead of just the metal tip. The rubber cap can be wonderful on grasses when you're trying not to ruin those, on rocks, like if you're at, Zion or somewhere like that. The rubber offers some really nice traction. That rubber can also freeze, and so that's one of the reasons it's not as good on snow or ice. Most of the time I use my trekking poles with mud baskets on them, and that helps to keep my trekking poles from getting stuck between rocks. It does help some with sinking into mud as well. However, if I suspect that there's going to be snow, I absolutely will take my snow baskets. These mud baskets are not going to do much for you if you're in the snow, whereas the snow baskets will help prevent you from sinking as much into the snow. Trekking poles can be especially helpful when you're going up or down hills, but they can also be useful on flats. When you're setting up your trekking pole for use, adjust the length so that your elbow is at a 90-degree angle. So you'll want to consider the terrain that you're going to be on. If you're going to be going uphill, you're probably going to want your pole shorter than if you're going downhill or if you're on a flat. So I generally use mine, I adjust mine to about 100, and I adjust both of them to the same length. If you prefer to do one shorter, I would use the lower one to be shorter, just for more stability from the thicker part of the pole. So with this, you'll notice my elbow is right around 90 degrees. This is where you're going to want it. You don't want it shorter. It's really hard to propel yourself. And you don't want it longer. Again, really difficult to propel yourself. Your hands can get fatigued and sweaty using your grips. And so sometimes gloves can be helpful. Using the strap properly can help reduce a lot of the pressure on your hands. So in order to do that, you're going to want to make sure that it's adjusted to the right length for you. With these poles, you lift up and then you can pull one way or the other to make it longer, shorter, whatever you need, and then pull it down to lock it in place. And then you're going to come up from underneath, bring your hand in, and then gripping that strap as well, you're going to wrap your hand around the pole. So to show this from the other side here, go up, getting your whole hand in there and wrapping that strap around the back of your hand here, and then gripping that pole. You should be able to put your whole body weight into the meat part of your hand here, and that will help distribute some of that weight into your forearm rather than all of it being about your grip. And I've certainly had times where my hands have slipped, and I'm really grateful that my weight was in that strap. Regardless of the terrain, you'll want to use the opposite pole to whatever leg is going forward. So this is uphill here. So I'm going to put my left foot forward and my right foot, and then go opposite. And I'm pushing off with my arms as well. Demonstrate again, and you'll see that my elbow is at a 90 degree this way. The poles are angled straight down, and then as I go forward, the handle angles forward, so which helps propel me forward as I go. When going on a steep decline, you may want to use the tops of your poles rather than keeping your hands in, keeping them in front of you and the tips angled ahead of you, more as a braking device to help keep you stable and keep you from going forward faster than you want to. You may feel a lot of this movement in your triceps and in your latissimus dorsi, which are the big muscles along the sides of your back. Trekking poles can be a great way to help increase your trail longevity, both for a single hike or for hiking up until you're 70, 80, 90 years old, which is what I certainly hope for myself. I hope that you found this useful and helpful. Let me know what you think. Leave me a comment. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share this with your friends. I'll look forward to seeing you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.